Take 2 or 3 spongings.
Well, that one didn't help. Yep. Hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
Got lots of work to do, man. Got a cup of coffee, espresso, or French press, actually, French press. I don't have a coffee pot on the boat, but we have a French press. So, I've been watching the water out here. Seen a couple of really large fish just pop up out. I don't know what they are, but chasing all these little fish, and I'll get some video of it. But today's the exhaust. We actually got some video yesterday, me climbing down into that little hole. Change this part, put a muffler right here. There's a couple of mounts I could put boards in. And I don't like to tackle things until I've really thought through what I'm going to do. And the issue I'm having is that you're not supposed to hard mount that muffler. Like, you're not supposed to like bolt it down onto your hull, because the vibration in the muffler will of course resonate through your hull and make it a lot louder than, a muffler is intended to, it's kind of the opposite of what it's supposed to do. And the problem is that I have to flex the hose around to feed into the muffler, and that hose doesn't really like to be bent. I mean, it bends, but as soon as you let go, it goes stiff and straight again. There. I can reach the camera. Get back here. There's these mounts right here. I'm gonna guess we're old motor or tranny, because this isn't the original motor or tranny. And I think I'm gonna build a shelf here, but the purpose of my climbing in here is unfortunately behind me. If I could even reach it. Basically, trying to figure out if this elbow, the injection elbow, is going to actually fit on. It will work. The exhaust elbow has to go on here, where this pipe is, right here. Basically screw on right there. The angle is going to be like this. Just put the end of it down here, and then we're going to have to, we need 2 feet of hose that'll go around in a spiral. We're going to have to build a little shelf off those mounts, and then the shelf will be where I mount the muffler on top of it. It'll probably be right here on top of the drive shaft right there, and then that should give me enough forward that I can run the muffler back up. I've got a couple of thoughts in my brain, and kind of wondering if the hose might not soften up after it's been heated in a curve. So, tackling of this job.
I've been moon shiner for 17 long years. Spent all my money on whiskey and beer. I go to the hollow, I sit on my still. Ain't a whiskey, don't get me out.
Alright, so to try to explain this, the engine has its own coolant. The coolant that I'm going to use, or the lines that I've got depicted here in green, that's the coolant cycle. Okay, it heats up inside the engine and it runs through the heat exchanger and runs back over into the exhaust manifold, which is also kind of the radiator area. The water that cools that coolant comes from this seacock, and it goes up through a strainer, and it goes into the pump, and then it comes out of the pump, and it goes up through that, basically surrounding the hot coolant inside of the heat exchanger, and then that water comes out and goes over and is injected into the exhaust system. So the exhaust comes out of the engine over here. This coolant-filled exhaust manifold initially cools it, but of course the exhaust is still dry. In my boat, the exhaust manifold is too low to have the proper amount of height for the next stage, so I put in a riser here. This pipe comes out, it rises up with the dry exhaust, and it hits the elbow, the injection elbow. I had to rise up. This is the injection elbow. The seawater, which has been heated by the engine's coolant, but it's not boiling hot, is then injected over the exhaust. And this is a 45-degree elbow. So at that point, the exhaust needs to be, hang on here, at that point, and here's the same thing. Okay, we have the water coming in, going into the pump, going into the exchanger, the engine's coolant running the cycle through, and this is the pump on the engine that actually pumps the coolant. This is the seacock water comes in, hits the pump, goes into the heat exchanger, comes out and is injected into the elbow. At this height up here, I have enough room that as I progress down to the muffler, this is now wetted exhaust at this point. The water from the seawater coming in from the exchanger is being injected into the exhaust, making it up to this injector. Sorry, you can hear Scuff stumbling around over here. Scuff, lay down. Here's Scuff. Scuff, lay down. Lay down. Yeah, good boy. Yeah, good boy. Yeah. Okay, so when you reach this point where the injector is where you're injecting the water into the elbow, the water has to flow downhill until it gets to the muffler. Basically, they gave it an inch or something per foot, and in my boat with this one, when it comes out of here, it only has about 4 inches until it would be down here, and there was no way I was going to be able to get that downspill speed that I needed before it went into the muffler. So I had no choice but to basically run the exhaust around in a circle and then have it come into the muffler. And this is a fiberglass muffler. I don't remember the brand at the moment. I'll have to look back on it. But after it hits the muffler, it goes up into this, I called it an overflow in the video, but basically this is a trap. It's the same sort of a trap you have under your kitchen sink, and it traps an air bubble in here, which basically keeps a siphon from coming back in from the back of your boat if you happen to get your exhaust pipe underwater. This has to, we're going to say this is water line right here, okay? So this is the outside of the boat, and this needs to spiral down, and then it collects in the muffler here, and then it needs to come up and get over water line. If it doesn't get over water line, then water can come into here and start a siphon, which actually goes backwards through your engine, and your engine just starts overflowing all over your boat, and you sink through the engine and through the exhaust. So what happens here is as your exhaust goes down into the muffler, it collects in here, enough pressure builds up which pushes it up over this thing, and I was pretty surprised by that when I heard about it. But the exhaust and the coolant comes up and just passes right over this, and then it comes back down, and then it runs to the back of the boat heading that way. And so, then it squirts out the back. The reason that you see wet exhaust going squirt, squirt, squirt is because of this muffler. This muffler the water builds up in it from the injection elbow. When the pressure gets high enough, it pushes the water up over the trap. The trap, when the water comes in the other way, if it comes in the other way, this air bubble and this water down here kind of lock it all up so that the siphon can't get going. And that's the basics of the wet exhaust system. It's not overly complicated, but everything from the injection elbow here down this pipe, this is a rubber pipe, and then this is a fiberglass muffler, and then this is a rubber pipe, and this is a fiberglass elbow, and this is a rubber pipe, and this is a fiberglass elbow, and this is a rubber pipe. And you can put your hand right on this pipe, as it's coming out of the injection elbow, you can put your hand right on it and it's just mildly warm. By the time it gets down here, it's not even hot. I mean, it's slightly warm, but you're getting rid of that exhaust heat without creating a hot metal pipe running through your boat. That's the other positive of this system. So that is a wet exhaust system explained. And if you have any questions, by all means, ask. I did a lot of studying, and there's about, like so many things in the world, there's about 50 opinions on how this works. But this is how mine works, and I fired it up, and it works amazingly well. It's quiet, and you get the standard squirt. Like I said, you can put your hands right on the pipe right after it comes out of that injection elbow right there. This is, of course, very hot. That little stretch, the exhaust manifold up to the injection elbow, is toasty, but it's a hard metal pipe. It's not going to get close to anything around the outside. So just got to make sure that roughly 1 foot of metal pipe doesn't ever have anything rubbing up against it that might, burn or heat or burn or melt or any of that. All right, so I forgot something here. I didn't really realize it, but when the exhaust fluids get injected in here and they're coming down this pipe to get into the muffler, this muffler, in this picture, it's a bad depiction of what you're looking for. The muffler shouldn't be to the side. When the boat heels, changes angle, this isn't where you want it. You want it to be center line, which this is how it is in the actual boat. You want the muffler to be as close to the center of the boat as possible, so as the boat heels, it doesn't change where this muffler is. That's why that's why I had to have this circle that goes around, or the spiral that goes around. I needed this distance and this drop, because also the muffler is supposed to be basically about the midline of the engine. Okay, so this is a bad depiction because it shows it off to the right. But this shows that it's supposed to be about the same height when it comes across the engine here. So to get this amount of drop, I needed to spiral the hose around and get a couple of extra feet into it, versus just this short distance here. So I wanted to be clear on that. Not only does this exhaust pipe going up and over need to get over this water line outside the boat, but the muffler is supposed to be about midline of the engine. So I don't know exactly what footage I got and what I didn't get, but the new exhaust system went in. I'm not sure if you'll be able to actually see it in there. Let me see if we've got a flashlight. It'll give us a decent view of it. I'm not sure how this will work, but I had to rise up. This is the injection elbow. It goes down. There's a big loop back in the back that feeds into the muffler, which is the top of the muffler is exactly in line with where it's supposed to be on the engine. Then it goes up into the overflow up here and comes back down, and then that heads off to the back of the boat, and the water is injected through that copper nozzle. It's coming out of the coolant pipe down here. So anybody have any questions, by all means ask away. I'll see if I can help you. This system was a basic one I found online, and I hope this can help. By all means, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll get to cruising. trying to compensate for your reversals.
Yeah, well, you know. You're the one that's dyslexic, not me here.
Yes, that's it.